All right, Taylor, what was your inspiration for your new album?
I think for me, the inspiration behind Red came from just wanting to experiment with my sound and wanting to write about all of the experiences I'd had in the last 2 years, and like in love and breakups and relationships and life and lessons, and wanting to do that in an exciting way for my fans that they hadn't heard before.
Because you've had a pretty full-on couple of years, haven't you?
It's been an intense couple of years. I definitely had a lot to write about, and one thing that I really wanted to make sure that I did was challenge myself as a writer. And so for me, this time around, that meant like collaborating with people I'd always wanted to work with, and going into the studio with writers I'd always dreamed of co-writing with, instead of writing the album by myself, which is what I did the last couple of times.
And you do a song with Ed Sheeran, who I love. How great was it working with him?
Working with Ed was amazing because we became just immediate friends. Like, we write songs exactly the same way. We have the same process. Like, we just grab a guitar and make stuff up. And so I think writing with him was one of my favorite experiences on the album, because it ended up being a duet, and getting to have his voice on the record, I feel incredibly lucky because his voice is so perfect.
Yeah. It's got quite a distinct sound, this album, and it's quite different to your last stuff. How important was it for you to move in a new direction?
I think for me it was really important to challenge myself artistically with this record, because I was on my 4th album and I'm 22, and I think that you should take chances in that scenario. I wanted to prove to my fans that I wasn't getting lazy. I wasn't like, oh, things have worked out great, you know, like all the records have sold really well, I think I can just make another one the same way. I wanted them to know that I was really racking my brain for every possible opportunity to show them something new.
It's gone platinum in New Zealand and Australia. How exciting is that on the other side of the world, that people are loving your music?
It's insane to see how fast this record has gone platinum in all these different countries. To see it go platinum in Australia and New Zealand and America, and to have it being kind of like, to see it spread all over the world in a new way than my music ever has before, makes me so proud of this record, and so grateful to the fans for liking the fact that we did something new this time around.
Is it hard to get your head around the fact, like, we were in the car with Rob's 16-year-old daughter and we had your new album playing, and she knew every single word to every single song. Is it hard to get your head around the fact that New Zealand and Australian girls are sitting there learning your lyrics off by heart?
I love it that the fans are so into knowing the lyrics. Like, it makes me so happy, because those are from my life experiences. So I guess looking out into a crowd of thousands of people singing the words back to me makes me feel like I wasn't necessarily alone in feeling that way when I wrote the song. And it just kind of connects us in a way that's like, it's a really strong connection when you know that your fans are experiencing the same things that you did when you wrote that song.
You're not making it to New Zealand this time, unfortunately. Have you got any plans to go back there in the future?
We've only announced the North American tour dates so far, so we definitely have plans to go tour in Europe and Asia and New Zealand and Australia. They just haven't been announced yet.
Yeah, you've been to New Zealand before though, haven't you?
When we toured in New Zealand last year, it was just unreal. Like, we did sold out shows and the crowds were insane. It was like, I mean, it blew us away, and it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Oh, great. We like to hear that. But you're in Australia for the ARIA Awards. You've won countless awards yourself. How exciting is it for you to be able to present an award to somebody else?
It's really exciting to get to go to the ARIA Awards for the first time and to perform and to present, because I've always heard about this award show, but I'd never been. So I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. And to present an award to somebody else, it's just going to be that much more exciting.
Are there any artists there you'll be looking out for?
I'm really excited about Temper Trap. They're one of my favorite bands, so I'm really, really stoked about seeing them.
Okay, great. You obviously have a lot of media attention on you, and a lot of that is about your personal life. How do you cope with that sort of attention? Because it's relentless, isn't it?
I think that for me, one of the most important elements of me being happy is making sure that I don't read anything about myself, because it's crazy the stuff they make up about me. Like, they'll make up quotes, like things that I've apparently said that I didn't say, and that's stuff that you can't really change, the fact that that's all going on. So you just kind of like, you know the version of your life that you're living, And if you're happy in that, then that's all that's important. It doesn't matter like everybody else's take on it.
Yeah, at 22 though, I mean, it's very young. Is it hard to ignore that sort of stuff?
I learned at like 19 or 20 to ignore that stuff. It was a really hard lesson to learn because it's human nature to be curious about people's perception of you. Like if you can just type your name in and push enter, and then all of a sudden you've got all this stuff, like all these articles about you that are like new ones every couple minutes, it's like a rabbit hole. Like you'll get lost in it. And I don't think that it's a healthy thing to do, to know what people think of you like 5 minutes ago, according to this gossip blog. I think you just have to trust that after years and years of your fans like seeing how you are and knowing you, like they're gonna have your back, and that's what's important.
Now you're promoting your album at the moment. Have you got any time off over Christmas and New Year?
I have a little time off coming up, so I'm really excited about that. And you know, it's a little bit of time off. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing yet though, so I think that'll be fun to like figure it all out. I'm just kind of like living day by day.
Is Christmas a big deal for you?
Christmas is a huge deal for me because I grew up on a Christmas tree farm, and
Oh.
I'm obsessed with winter. I love the idea of snow and baking and like all that. So I think for me, Christmas is just like something I look forward to all year round.
Is it strange for you being in Australia where it's summer and we're heading towards Christmas?
It's a little weird to be like coming right up to Christmas and it's sunny and really hot outside. It's pretty intense. Like, because back in America, it's freezing cold and everybody's getting in the Christmas spirit. But it's kind of refreshing, you know? Like, I'm down here, I'm just like, oh, really? I'm just wearing a sundress.
Now, what can we expect from you in the future coming up? Have you got any ideas for your next album, or is that too far away to think about?
I think that my next album will probably come out maybe 2 or 3 years from now. I think that I have a lot to do to promote this record and to plan a tour around this album. I have so much to do. So I haven't really thought much about what the next album would be, but I hope it'll be something very different from this record, so I can always just like continue to grow and change in different ways.
You talked about your fans before, and how important they are to you. I saw some footage of you the other day, and you're in a bit of a rush, and a little girl called out, "Can I please have a photo with you?" And you stopped and turned around and you made the time to talk to her and hug her and have a photo, and it's really nice to watch.
Aww.
Is it really important to you to acknowledge the fans and talk to them, and because there are some celebrities who don't do that?
Thanks. The fans are the only reason I get to do all this. You know, they're the reason I get to stand in, you know, on a really big stage instead of like the coffee houses I used to play at when I was 12. So I think that it's so important every single day to remind yourself like I'm not necessarily the only reason that record went platinum. The fact that like millions of fans went out and bought the record is why it went platinum. Like you have to kind of like check yourself in your mind. Like you can't start thinking that you're the only reason this stuff is happening to you.
Yeah. Is there a bit of pressure to be a good role model?
There's a lot of pressure to be a good role model and to do the right thing. A lot of that is pressure I put on myself because at the end of the day, I just really want to live a good life. Like I hope that someday I have grandkids who will be able to look back and see what my life was like, and I hope they would be proud. I think that that's an important place to live your life from, instead of being like, oh, there's so much pressure on me because little girls listen to my music, and like, I just think that you know, my audience has gotten really diverse age-wise. I look out into the crowd and I see people of all ages. So you have to just kind of make your choices based on the way that you want to live your life, legacy-wise, like life-wise, rather than putting all that pressure on yourself.